This is Talking Timber with me, Mike Jeffrey.
And me, Keith Fryer.
And just to recap, all our previous episodes of Talking Timber are at talkingtimber.co.uk and on Spotify and
YouTube. And I think we've
well.
even got a bit of Facebook and all that sort of stuff going out there.
Facebook,
but
we've got an Instagram account. That's excellent. Today we've got a very interesting guest. Not that all our guests aren't interesting,
of course.
But today we've got Rupert Oliver.
Yes.
A fellow veteran of the timber trade.
Yeah, I've known Rupert for many years, sort of going back to BM Trada and all sorts of things.
So, yeah. Rupert is Environmental Policy Director for the American Hardwood Export Council, or AHEC. And their role is to support global market development for the US hardwood trade. And the topic we're going to talk about today is the new American Hardwood Assurance Scheme.
Yeah, I think this is going to be quite an interesting one.
Oh, definitely.
I'm rather looking forward. I hope he's out there on the line.
Yes. And also, the AHA has been developed to provide evidence that US hardwoods are legal and sustainable, and as a key part of sustainability, that they are deforestation free. They're not implicated in any form of deforestation.
Absolutely.
So hi Rupert.
Hello there. Nice to talk to you today.
Yeah, thank goodness he is there. Hi Rupert.
Welcome to Talking Timber. And so the AHA, the American Hardwood Assurance Scheme, which has been, it's launched this year. That's right, isn't it?
Yes, it launched on the 1st of August this year.
Yeah. So, to anyone in the international hardwood trade, it would seem that US hardwood forestry and the timber sector are demonstrably sustainable. The hardwood forest, I've visited it, I think, with you, and it's absolutely vast. Over 30 states are producing commercial quantities of hardwood, and the US industry is the biggest international hardwood trader in the world. The forest has been expanding for decades. More timber grows in it than is harvested year on year. So why do we need this added validation of its sustainability, and why now?
Well, thanks, Mike. Yeah, of course, you're right. There's a lot of good data to demonstrate that American hardwood forests are vast, that their volume is expanding. I think the volume's increased by about 130% over the last 70 years. We have a huge amount of data. Got US inventory data. AHEC's undertaken a lot of forest risk assessments over the years to support the simple fact that American hardwood forests are actually a sustainable growing resource. But of course, all that data is often rather complex. Many customers, they prefer the simplicity of a label. And that's particularly true, of course, of businesses when they're being encouraged by procurement policies. They tend to focus on very specific technical standards covering forest management, chain of custody, that sort of thing. And then, of course, there are regulatory requirements imposed through laws like the Lacey Act in the US, the EU Timber Regulation, the Australian Illegal Logging Prohibition Act. All these laws placing specific obligations on traders to provide a proof of legality. And now we've got the EU Deforestation Regulation, of course, requiring a clear proof of deforestation-free status. So this needs actually new forms of verification, particularly in a sector like the American hardwood sector, where actually a lot of wood comes from very small owners. We need new approaches to verification, and AHA provides that.
Yeah, just sort of butting in on that, Rupert. I guess the other part is that essentially just by geography alone, you've got the added benefit that American hardwoods essentially are temperate. And so you haven't got quite the issues around tropical hardwoods to play with. Is that fair?
Oh, well, absolutely. We don't have, in the US, of course, they've got a very strong culture of good forest management that has evolved over decades. They've got good governance, good laws, which contribute to a very resilient forest resource, very good management ultimately. So yes, we are simply trying to convey a message around good management, which is already there. Actually, that's what AHA is doing.
Also, is it playing a part in the development of the AHA, that there are now kind of new tools that you can use to sort of validate timber sustainability and legality?
Oh, absolutely. In our view, the whole process of verification of sustainability, deforestation-free status, you're right. There are new tools that can deliver on that in a much more efficient and effective way, and things like Earth observation technology, which means that we can now actually look very directly at the forest, see what the impacts of different commodity demands are, different trends in the forest. We can use Earth observation technology to do that in ways that we couldn't do before. And now there's emerging technologies, this sort of wood provenance testing technologies. Just looking at the wood chemistry, you can identify the provenance of that wood just by a simple lab test, or even you might even be able to use a hand scanner to check on the provenance to specific small areas within the United States, and in fact in any forest area of the world.
Yeah, it's incredible, isn't it? And,
yeah.
And on the AHA website, it states that the scheme exceeds the requirements of the EU Deforestation Regulation, or EUDR. And I mean, did this yet to be introduced new regulation to ensure timber placed on the EU market is sustainable? Did that play a part in the development of the AHA, or was AHEC's perspective in developing the scheme more global than that?
Yeah, I mean, it was more global in a sense. I mean, we started looking at these new approaches to verification actually before EUDR was announced, I think, which was back in 2023. We were already looking at new approaches, jurisdictional risk-based approaches to verification, which are really important in the smallholder sector. We were already developing standards for that in the US hardwood sector because we were very interested in expanding markets in those countries which already have quite tough procurement policies, quite tough laws. The EU timber regulation had inspired us. But it has to be said, yeah, the EUDR was instrumental in making us look at new ways of verification, particularly using Earth observation technology and this new plant chemistry-based approaches.
I guess that's really where you've got a huge advantage, I would guess, because the US is the largest economy in the world, as we are constantly reminded by one particular gentleman. But it's true. And you've got amazing technology, startups, all sorts of technology available over in the US. So I suppose if we take all of that, a core aspect of the development of the AHA was legality assessment of forestry. I believe I'm right. I think, is it in about 30 producing states of the US? Is it about 30?
Actually 37 states account for about 99.9% of all sawlog production in the US, which is basically what we're interested in. So we've certainly been able, for each of those states, one of the key things that we've done with AHA has been to commission legality risk assessments using quite a well-developed framework. In fact, you're right. Actually, AHEC has a lot of experience. We've acquired it over 20 years of doing thorough legality risk assessments. I think we started back in 2008 with a study called the Seneca Creek risk assessment, independent assessment against a whole range of sustainability and legality criteria. We did that at a national level, then that was updated in 2018, where we looked more at regional level, and then that was subject to a peer review process. And then from that whole process, we were able to develop a framework standard for legality assessment at a state level. And that has been applied. Yeah, we spent the last 2 years, or in fact, we commissioned an organization called Dovetail, independent professional organization in the United States, a lot of experience of smallholder issues. And they did this analysis right across all 37 states, produced 37 separate reports assessing the risk of illegality against 18 different criteria in all those 37 states. And I think they ended up producing about 5,000 pages of text. They interviewed sort of several hundred experts right across the US. So to be honest, I think probably it's the best assurance of legality,
Yeah.
of negligible risk of illegality, you can get anywhere in the world. And of course, that
Well,
has been able to build on, good governance that already exists. Yes.
yeah, I guess that's again, the other big advantage you have, and I don't want to sort of get into other countries specifically, but we all know that in some parts of the world, doing what you're doing is incredibly tough. Whereas you're working in a country where the commercial environment is much more mature, grown up, and also very litigation aware. So I guess whilst it's not going to be easy, it must be easier for you to put all of these processes into place.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. We have a good starting point. We have a good governance framework. We also do benefit, of course, from funding from the U.S. Department of Agriculture. They've actually supported the development of the risk assessments and the actual the deforestation risk assessment, which is something we can perhaps talk about in a minute. But
Yeah,
yes, that we're very fortunate. In fact, we got dovetailed thorough independent assessment, and what we didn't expect was that across all 37 states and all 18 risk categories, they wouldn't actually specify a single legality risk right across the US. We did
that's
not expect that at all, but that's how it turned out.
yeah.
It just goes to show that the governance structures are extremely robust in the United States. So, yeah, there's not many countries in the world where I think you could have done that sort of level of analysis and come up with
Exactly.
no risks being specified. Yes. Yeah.
I'm sort of slightly less surprised by that. I would have expected you might get odd bits of sort of issue, but the States is a well-regulated place and it's well-funded and people are very aware. So that's great. Sorry, Mike, I'd rather.
No, it's all right. Carry on. But, Rupert, the AHA also provides evidence of the actual geolocation as to where the hardwoods originate down to county jurisdictional level. And I understand shows the growth and timber takeoff in the individual counties' forest, and it flags up where there may be question marks in any respect about deforestation. I mean, can you explain how that works as in lay terms, if possible?
Yeah. Well, absolutely. I mean, it's not looking so much. I mean, it's not looking so much at the volume data. This is actually using the satellite-based analysis. And again, I mean, going back to Keith's point, again, we do benefit strongly here from the availability of existing good quality data sets in the United States. And you're right, we've mentioned already the forest inventory. They've been doing regular forest inventories now for over a century. But what they also have is, access to very good quality satellite data. The USDA itself has a thing called the crop data layer, which is based on land. It was originally based on Landsat satellite data, but they're now moving to higher resolution Sentinel-2 data, which actually is a European data set, which is at a higher resolution. And what the crop data layer identifies at that sort of fairly high level of resolution exactly what type of forest and what type of crop is present on each area of land right across the US, an area of about 800 million hectares, I think. They cover the whole thing and they identify exactly what's growing on each area of land. And they update it every year. So we've actually been able to benefit from that. And we've employed a company called BWA, very good UK-based company. They have experts in AI on their team.
Exactly.
And they basically review the crop data layer every year. They have an AI tool which scans the whole data set every year and identifies at a county level where deforestation looks like it is happening, where and what's driving that deforestation. Is it conversion to infrastructure or is it conversion to crops? And it very accurately actually quantifies the level of deforestation and can identify what's driving that deforestation, what crops are involved, and that sort of thing. So that's essentially what we use as the basis for our deforestation risk assessment. And we find that doing it at a county level, and these counties, there's about 2,500 counties in the US hardwood producing states. Each of them are about 200,000 hectares in size. And we, at that level, we can identify very clearly counties where there's basically zero risk of deforestation. And the thinking is, if you can identify that there's no deforestation going on, or a very small amount, a negligible amount, it makes sense to identify provenance to those counties where we can show very clearly there's zero deforestation. And where we do identify risks of deforestation using this AI-based tool and analysis, where that's and actually we looked right across these 2,500 counties. I think we identified, just on the 2024 analysis, there's about 40 counties. I think about 1% of the counties, or 2% of the counties, where there is potential risk of deforestation. It's mainly those.
So you can on those.
Yeah.
And can it differentiate? I mean, can you differentiate between? Obviously, forest areas are sustainably and legally harvested. Would that potentially show up as on the satellite data? Or you think, that looks like deforestation to me? Is there a sort of
way? Well, you can absolutely. We can at the level of resolution that's been the sort of 10-meter resolution. What you can see from this analysis is if a forest is it's been maybe clear felled. But that doesn't mean it's been deforested.
No.
You then actually have to look at the sort of context, and you bring in the AI tool, brings in more data on the overall context. Is it an area where there is a bit of deforestation going on? There's likely, because it's an agricultural area, it's more likely to happen there. If it's in an area, in the middle of the Appalachians, they don't, essentially, if you look historically, they haven't converted any land there, any forest there for decades. So if you see a clear felling site there, you think, well, it's very unlikely that's going to be converted to agriculture, just given the location. Whereas in other areas of the States, there is a little bit of change, a little bit of conversion, and you can begin to spot that using this analysis. What you can't really do, which is what the EUDR is trying to demand, is what you can't really do is say that particular area, at the point you're putting the wood on the market, you can't say that little particular piece of property in the Midwest or somewhere, that's definitely going to be converted, because actually it usually takes about 10 years before you can be sure that an area that's been cleared has been converted to another use. So we are always looking at historic data. We're always looking at past trends. And from that we get an idea and predict the future, but we can't really do it at a property level and be absolutely sure that one specific property is going to be converted and another one is not. We're always dealing with probabilities with this whole issue, and that's something we've been constantly emphasizing. We are always dealing with probabilities.
Yeah. So, right, Rupert, you've sold me the dream. Okay. And rightly so. The US has got a brilliant system. You can prove and you can support. So turning the whole thing now to the trading side of life, which is where I operate more. I'm buying and selling timber, and I want to make sure that all those boxes are ticked. And, we've got FFC, PFC, everything else out there. Are you going to offer me a package that makes it easier for me to provide all the requirements to make sure that the timber I buy is verified? In other words, is the AHA system designed to suit this sort of forestry model, and able to sort of bring that so that I can take your timber to market nice and easily?
And will there be a label? That's another question. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're obviously developing this in phases. The first phase has been essentially provides a mechanism whereby the US exporters, they can bring all this data together, the legality risk data, the deforestation risk data. They sign on to an online platform, and they bring that data together with the data that they enter on where they're sourcing their logs at a county level. And then, having got that data all combined, it basically produces for the exporter a shipping document, we call it an AHA due diligence statement. And this statement contains all the data that the that the actual importers need if they're wanting to comply specifically with the EUDR. We have, because that at the moment is the one demanding
Yeah.
the most information. So,
And that's the key I want to try and get to is, so I understand we've got all the supporting. If we want to do due diligence, you can provide all the data.
Yes.
But, really simply, could I essentially cut out FSC, PFC and hand the EUDR people an AHA certificate and job done?
Yeah, you can. That's essentially what it's designed. If you're using, of course, we're focused very specifically on American hardwood. We're not trying to solve the world's problems like PFC and FSC. For American hardwood, yes, you get a document which, and actually that can, and obviously can be transferred electronically. And then we have spoken to a lot of importers in the EU, and they're very happy with it. They say, "Yep, this is really useful. It helps us," and it's an individual numbered document with each individual consignment. It is consignment specific. And for every consignment they place on the EU market, they can upload the data very easily. And it complies, as far as we can gather, it complies with the IT system requirements of the EU. Yes.
Yeah, that's what I want as a trader. I just want a nice, easy system. And no problems, no qualms. I know that should anyone ever want to do due diligence to check you out, I'm utterly convinced you guys have got that completely sussed. I just want to know that on the front end, I can buy timber from that's AHA certificated, and bang, job done. I can then go and sell it without any fear.
Absolutely, that is the whole purpose of the system. If it's got an AHA claim attached to it, it's a robust claim. It's backed by all this data, and it is very specifically from this part of the United States. As I say, we're developing it in phases. So the second phase is actually to turn it from a system designed just to provide these statements for exporters into a global system. And what we're going to do there is link it. That sort of statement is going to be linked. That's going to become what we call the Genesis block for a blockchain system. Which can be rolled out worldwide. Yeah, because we're very aware of, for example, got manufacturers in third countries who might be selling into the EU or into the United or back into the US. We need a system that we can track volumes of AHA accredited products through the global supply chain, and we have to be sure, obviously, that those American products are not being mixed with lots of products from other areas where there might be illegal logging risks, or people are actually misusing the label to claim that theirs is American wood when of course it's not from the States at all. So that's why we need a blockchain system. It needs to be a robust system, and then we're going to link it with this wood provenance testing. So we will have a system that can regularly check on the integrity of the overall system by anybody who's selling a product with an AHA claim. We will be able to go and, ideally we want to be able to use a handheld scanner. You wave the scanner at the wood and it will say, well, that's definitely from this part of the US. And actually there's work being done by USDA at the moment to develop what they call LIBS technology, where you will be able to use a handheld scanner pointed at the wood. And if you've got a good database of timber samples from right across the supply area, as we're actually working on that at the moment, getting a big database of timber samples from right across the US hardwood producing regions, and you've got a well-calibrated handheld scanner, you can match the chemicals in the wood in the marketplace with a specific region of the US hardwood supply chain. And that way you can basically check, this provenance claim is accurate. And we'll certainly be able to say, well, actually, this wood is not from the States at all. So all the claims you're making with regard to this wood are, they're not legitimate. So we will be able to validate that through our system, yes.
Yeah. So far, what's been the response of the US forestry and timber sector? And have you had any feedback from US buyers of US hardwoods abroad to the AHA? What have you had any sort of feedback so far, or is it too early?
Well, no, it's not too early. I mean, so far it's been extremely positive. I mean, within a matter of weeks of opening the system out, I think we've got 100 US exporters signed up to it, over 100 US exporters. The numbers, and that's even before EUDR, for example, has been introduced. So we also what was interesting, we started getting, because AX always been very focused on the logs, the lumber, the veneers. And what we're seeing now is a lot of exporters involved in staves and manufactured products, and plywood are now getting involved because they really see this. It really does resonate with the trade. I mean, one of the reasons why we called it American Hardwood Assured was because ultimately we thought not only is it really useful for export markets, but it does resonate also very much in the domestic market in the US. It's actually showing them this is an American hardwood. It has all these qualities and attributes. Really, you need to be buying more of this American hardwood in the States. And, with the current political situation and everything else, it does resonate quite strongly in that market.
Yeah. How's the AHA been funded to date? I mean, is that something that's a work in progress?
It is, but we have a very clear idea of how this is going to evolve. We got seed funding from the US Department of Agriculture, for which we're very grateful, which essentially got us off the ground, got the platform developed, done the initial risk assessments. But to really, for this thing to really take off, we need it actually to become an independent entity, which will be funded like other certification systems by a licensing fee. So people using the system of wanting to make an AHA claim, they would pay what we're hoping will be a very, very small licensing fee per unit of quantity. We were looking probably at mass of hardwood that they're using products. They will be charged on that basis.
So that's what make sure of is that this is literally sustainable in the other form, that it's financially sustainable. In other words, we're not the AHA come and go and fizzle out in a nutshell, because time's moving on here. You reckon this is a sustainable financial model?
Well, absolutely, because the US exports worldwide of hardwoods, they're something like $3.5 billion worth, and yet actually funding this model of verification costs literally. We think we could do it for less than $4 million a year. So it's a very, very efficient way of delivering a verification into the global market.
Amazing.
And if it's done on a per unit basis, we shall easily capture the funding that we need.
Because if you take a rough cubic meters, I'm not trying to hold you to this. If you work out $4 million divided by the amount of cubic meters of wood you ship out from America to the rest of the world, that's cents per cubic meter, isn't it? It's a few cents.
That's what we're looking at. Yeah, it will be a few cents. This is much more efficient. We're not having, one of the great glories of this system is you're not having to pay chain of custody auditors at every single stage. It's all done internally by an online system. You've got an integrity-based system that's based on wood cover. It's a lot cheaper to do it this way. Yeah.
As a timber trader, Rupert, that's music to my ears.
With the scheme in place, does it make AHEC kind of more I know you're optimistic for the future of US hardwoods anyway, but does this make you more optimistic that that?
Well, absolutely. I think, there's challenges in the market at the moment, as there are for everybody, but underlying it, yes, we have such a strong narrative with this framework. It's a very efficient way of delivering sustainability claims into the global market. We can begin really to exploit these new technologies to make very robust claims. Yeah, absolutely. I'm very confident this will evolve and deliver bigger markets in the future. Yes.
Yeah, I think the simple thing for us is that we've got to make sure that the promotional works underneath, but essentially, providing the quality of the material is good, you've sort of seemed to have surmounted all of the other issues that have been a bit of a struggle in the past. It just makes it much easier for people to use American hardwoods.
Yeah, absolutely, and we've got this vast resource, which is
Yeah.
underutilized at the moment. It's actually it's a gift to the world if people would,
Well, that's the word, isn't it? Yeah, brilliant.
Absolutely.
That's it.
Yeah.
America actually giving a gift to the world. I could almost imagine someone
nice.
saying
That's
that.
Have to be careful.
First name's Donald. I can imagine him standing up there. He's
That's
not
our
really
gift to the world.
out
That
for
is their gift to the world. American hardwoods are their gift to the world. Yeah.
And find a bit of nitty gritty. Well, if people want to sort of see more about the American Hardwood Assurance scheme, what's the website address? I should have
Well,
asked that.
it's very easy to remember. That's why we did it. Hardwood.us.
Oh, well, nice one. That's really good. Hardwood.us. We'll stick that on our website, won't we?
Brilliant. Yeah.
Link.
Rupert, that's been fascinating. I mean, I'm sure we could talk more about it, and perhaps we will catch up with you at another time to see how the whole thing is developed. But yeah, as for today, I think we've got to wrap up. So brilliant. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much. No, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you.
Yeah, no, we know you're a busy guy and you've got a lot going on. So we really, really are super grateful that you've taken the time and trouble to come on the podcast.
Yeah, it's been my pleasure. Absolutely. Thank you.
So that was fascinating, and so much information in such a short period of time. I mean, Rupert's a great explainer. I mean, I've seen him talking at conferences worldwide, and in fact, these days a conference without Rupert seems a bit of a deficit to be.
Yeah. Well, that's right. It's that depth of knowledge and experience. But I think also Rupert's a bit of a lucky guy in one respect. I mean, a resource like that is unbelievable, isn't it? They've got everything. They've got the technological advantages. They've got the sheer scale. They've got the fact that Americans per se are rule abiding. Their businesses are risk averse to legislation. They're not looking to be sued anywhere, and they know they're very exposed. They're very transparent, aren't they?
Yeah. But at the same time, I mean, the use of all this new technology for proving provenance, using satellite technology to monitor deforestation, and this,
which is British.
Right.
Yes.
And also, the system for identifying species of wood. Well, hopefully, the model in the future will be, scan the timber, and you will be able to identify it by its chemical structure. It's incredible.
Funny, I mean, a slight drift off subject, but yeah, I mean, in our business, we've just installed a new paint supply. We do a lot of paint for our customers, and you can literally bring in a piece of paint on a piece of wood or whatever and sit it under the scanner. It'll tell you exactly what it is. I mean, this is much, much more in depth than that, but absolutely. And AI, of course, creeping in left, right and centre.
Yes,
to deal with that scale of the American scale of everything.
Yeah, and ultimately it's about the key message is sustainability. It's proving sustainability of American hardwoods.
Yeah, I've never been anything than convinced about that personally. The big news for me is that this effectively gets rid of all of the other stuff. It takes them straight to market. We haven't got other compliance issues. We haven't got lots more paperwork. Bang, we're in. Yeah. We can buy, we can sell, we can make money and sell more American hardwood.
Yeah, great interview.
Yeah, really good.
We say so ourselves.
Yeah, more down to Rupert than us, I suspect.
Yeah.
All right.